Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, jumbo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jed Lee, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast, coming to you from beautiful Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so happy that you are joining us today. We have a wonderful, wonderful show for you. Two great guests. First, coming to us from Los Angeles in California, it's Diana Lundin telling us about her great photo book, Dogs vs. Ice Cream. And then we'll welcome Chris McLean to tell us about his great new graphic novel series. Before we welcome our guest into the show, I want to ask you a question. Are you looking to make 2019 the best year ever? You know, the brightest moments of 2019 are going to start with your smallest choices, like what are you going to snack on today? We want you to snack better, feel better, and be better every single day by visiting readingwithyourkids.com/yummy. Readingwithyourkids.com/yummy. That's where you can go and find out about our friends at Love with Food. And you can click on a link and save up to 40% on your first purchase. Love with Food is a great subscription service that brings delicious, hard-to-find, really, really cool snacks to your doorstep. A great curated collection of snacks every single month. Now, I love Love with Food for a bunch of different reasons. Number one, it introduces you to snacks that you're not going to find in your typical grocery store. Number two, with every box that is delivered by Love with Food, they donate a meal to a needy family. So, like, it's a win-win-win. And when you go to readingwithyourkids.com/yummy and sign up through our link, they are going to support one of your favorite podcasts, the Reading with Your Kids podcast. So check it out today. Go to readingwithyourkids.com/yummy. Snack smart, do good with our friends at readingwithyourkids.com/yummy and Love with Food. Joining us on the line right now from beautiful Los Angeles in California. She is the author of a soon-to-be-released book called Dogs vs. Ice Cream. If that doesn't spark your imagination, I don't know what will. Please welcome to the show author and photographer Diana Lundin. Diana, how are you?
Hey, Jed, how are you? I'm doing great.
Fantastic. So excited to have you here. And just so that you know, my beautiful broken beagle is right behind me in the studio, making sure that I am doing all the things that I should be doing. He was very interested in this interview.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Good.
So I'm on your website, and just spectacular pictures of all sorts of animals, especially dogs. How in the world did you get into becoming a professional pet photographer?
You know, I always wanted to do it, and I tried it several years ago. A woman was doing some collars and leashes, and she wanted me to photograph them on the dogs. And I go, oh, yeah, I can do that. Well, it turns out I couldn't do that at all. And so over the years, I watched an online web interview, and I go, oh, that woman can't do it. She's, flop sweat all over the place. She can't do it either. And then I watched someone who could do it. And so I started going to my neighbors and asking if I could photograph their dogs, and it just went on from there. I just started getting pretty good at it, and I love doing it. It's my favorite genre of photography. I do other types as well, but this is my number one. I love it so much. Dogs are the best. Pets are the best.
Well, you certainly have an amazing knack at it. I mean, I'm mesmerized by the photography on your website, and one of the things is that you're capturing the personality of the dogs, and they just run the gamut. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, with dogs, they can do nothing else but be their own personality, to tell you the truth. They are who they are. And what it takes for being a pet photographer is patience, but also there's tricks to pet photography. For instance, dogs respond to noises quite often. I would say 90% of the dogs respond to noises. So if you make noises that are unfamiliar to them, or familiar to them, they're going to look at you. Noises aren't very good for very long. You have maybe 3 to 5 times of a squeaky toy or a whistle or something to get their attention, take the pictures very fast, and then if there's no payoff for them, they lose interest. Cats are completely different. They don't respond to noise. They respond to things like feather toys. They're visual. So you wave a feather toy and you bring it right to the lens, well, they're going to look right there.
Wow. That is a great piece of advice for anybody trying to get a picture of their pet. I know we've struggled a lot sometimes.
Well, if you call your pet's name, if you say your pet's name trying to get their attention, they're likely to just come to you instead of sitting there for you. Mm-hmm. So if you do Jed, you would be very surprised to learn I wear a necklace of hunting calls that has like 6, 7, 8 hunting calls. I have pigeons and owls and mice and squirrels and all kinds of things that I wear around my neck that are used by hunters. Of course, I'm not a hunter, but I wear these around my neck and I just switch off the sounds all the time to get the dog's attention. Wow. It's pretty wild when people see my necklace.
Yeah, I bet. Well, but you're out in California, so kind of eccentric looks are more accepted out there, right?
Probably. Might agree with you on that.
Now, before we get into talking about dogs versus ice cream, what's the most unusual pet that you've photographed?
When I first started out, which was in 2014, I did a chameleon with a cat on Santa's lap. I think that was my most unusual. I don't photograph a lot of unusual pets. I'm kind of like your domestic dog and cat photographer. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you though that we went to Madagascar earlier this year in April, and I photographed a lot of lemurs, and lemurs were fantastic. They're excellent subjects with their big eyes, and they were just great. But I went on a safari in Kenya as well, and so I got to photograph all kinds of African animals, and it was a highlight of my life.
Yeah, my wife and I just took a tour down to Panama and went into the rainforest that surrounds the Panama Canal and saw howler monkeys and capuchin monkeys and crocodiles and boa constrictors and we took some pictures. Of course, they're nothing like the pictures that you're taking, but it was amazing. So I absolutely can relate to that whole feeling of being in a world that's completely different than Los Angeles and seeing all these creatures that we don't normally see.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So tell us about dogs versus ice cream. What are we going to see in that book?
Oh my gosh. You are going to see the gamut of expressions of dogs eating ice cream. I had a few dogs that were so excited about it that they ate 3 cones before I could take one frame of a picture. They were just so excited about it. It's like one chomp and it was gone. And then I had others. The other side of it was that some of them really hated it. It is doggy ice cream, so it doesn't have sugar in it, and it's made for dogs so it doesn't upset their digestive system. Mm-hmm. It's by Purina. It's called Frosty Paws. You can just get it at your grocery store. So it runs the gamut of them loving it to hating it. And, the chompers, the ones that just take one scoop of ice cream and have the entire ball of ice cream in their mouth. And then some of them just turn their head away so delicately, and it's like, I am not touching that. And, just some of the positions that the dogs can get their heads in while they're eating this ice cream. It's really funny. Some of the dogs are just cute, but a lot of the pictures are hilarious.
Yeah, I imagine. Where did the idea come from?
The idea actually came in 2014 when, I don't know if you ever saw this video. It was called Cooper and Daisy go to McDonald's or something like that, or Cooper loves ice cream or something like that. And it was this video this woman took of her beagle, I believe it was a beagle, Daisy, and her hound dog, Cooper. And so she's talking about how, whoa, we went to McDonald's and what did we get? We got an ice cream cone. So she goes, Daisy gets the ice cream first. And this video is only like 45 seconds. So Daisy delicately eats some of the McDonald's ice cream, and Cooper's like in anticipation, waiting. And she goes, why does Daisy get hers first? And then she moves the cone over to Cooper, and Cooper chomps it in one big chomp and says, because Cooper eats his too fast. And I thought that was hilarious. So I went online and I looked for other dogs eating ice cream because I thought it was funny, and I thought I would see some professional pictures, and I didn't. I mean, I saw people giving their dogs ice cream, but I didn't see the professional photos. And I go, oh, I'm going to try that. So I tried it on my driveway, and I got some neighbor dogs involved, and I did like a proof of concept to see if this would work. And I did a little research, and I found out dog ice cream was what I needed to use. Otherwise, I might make them sick, and I didn't want that hanging over me. Mm-hmm. So then I started taking it to pet stores, and I kind of became known for it. And Familius picked up on it, and that's where the book came from. I think I've probably photographed more dogs eating ice cream than any other person on earth.
I would probably agree with you, and I'm not going to argue with that at all. You mentioned that the inspiration came from a video that you saw online. What is it, do you think, that fascinates us so much? Because social media is just filled with pictures and videos of dogs and cats, and I imagine there are people out there who spend hours and hours and hours just watching all of these. Some of them are funny, some of them are touching, but just these videos of animals.
First of all, we love animals. We just, they are great companions. They're fun. The things that they do, you kind of see some human traits in them, but you also see the animal face and the animal body and the animal doing things. But you see how it relates to being a human. And I think that makes it funny and touching, is because you can see it's I have never been able to say that word, anthropomorphizing.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that, where we attribute human qualities to animals. And I just think it's partially we love them so much, and they just make us laugh. They do silly things, and, I laugh. I have two cats, and one cat is very, very funny. And, I mean, just the way he sleeps makes me laugh. He rolls on his back, he spreads his legs, sometimes he puts his tail in the air while he's sleeping, like he's got to cool everything off. I find him just sleeping to be hilarious. So, I mean, it's the little things.
Yeah. Well, the thought that comes to my mind is that dogs versus ice cream, we talk a lot about how a lot of picture books that people assume are just for little kids have a lot of meaning for adults and older kids. I have a feeling that Dogs versus Ice Cream is a picture book that is for everyone.
Everybody. When I think, I did 7 ice cream socials for dogs, in preparation for the book. So I photographed 192 dogs for the book, submitted 100, but I photographed 192. And the adults were excited as you would ever see when they're giving the dog, their dog, the ice cream. Mm-hmm. They are laughing. There's such joy in their faces. And I would tell you, there were not a lot of children who came to these socials, and they could have, there was nothing stopping them, but it was the adults who were really, bringing their dogs so happy. And, people wrote to me later and said, oh my God, that was the best day ever. My dog had so much fun. And, it was really very fun.
Well, we're really excited. Now, unfortunately, Dogs versus Ice Cream, it's not going to be available until July.
Right. But that is July the month of July does contain National Ice Cream Day, which I believe is on July 19th. So, you better believe I'm going to be throwing some parties in July when the book comes out in conjunction with National Ice Cream Day. It will be really, really fun. I'll bring ice cream for the people. I'll bring ice cream for the pets, and we'll have the book, and it'll be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, folks are going to want they're going to want to be connected so that they know exactly when the book is coming out and when that ice cream social, that huge ice cream social, is going to be. Is there a way for folks to get on a mailing list and to connect with you?
Yes. My website, which is all pet photography, is dianalundin.com, and it's DIANALUNDIN.com. And there is a link, it's under the information link, where I have a newsletter sign up. And so I will be telling people when the book will be coming out. And they can just go to my website and they will enjoy seeing dogs and cats. So I think that will be fun, just seeing those before the book comes out.
Well, yes. I mean, that absolutely. I am back on DianaLundin.com, and I am just looking at these beautiful dogs and these great poses. And I'm looking at one picture that I see a lot. There's a little tiny dog at the top of a long stairway. And,
yes, the dog is actually a very big dog. It's a
really?
Wheaten Terrier, and a Wheaten Terrier is kind of a large dog. It's a medium-sized dog, but it's kind of big.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm getting old, and it just reminds me, the studio is down in the, we have a subterranean studio here at the Reading with Your Kids podcast. And very oftentimes when I'm coming up from the studio, my faithful dog Augie is at the top of the stairs, kind of reaching out, I think, he's reaching out a paw either to help me up or to push me down. I'm not quite sure what it is. I'm going to go with he's trying to help me up.
He's helping you up.
There you go. Well, we can't wait for the book to come out. It's going to be coming out from Familius in July of 2019. Until that time, make sure you check out DianaLundin.com. Check out all her great photography. And I also, people, if they want to have their dogs photographed, they can get in touch with you?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. That's my favorite thing to do. Yes.
Awesome. Our guest today has been Diana Lundin, author of the soon-to-be-released book, Dogs vs. Ice Cream. Diana, thanks so much for being part of the show today.
Jed, thank you. I really appreciate it. And I hope you stay warm.
I would love to invite you to find out about my first picture book. It's called The Great Maritini. The Great Maritini tells the story of Sam, an aspiring and some would say rather clumsy magician. He makes a lot of mistakes and they're pretty hilarious, but he has a lot of grit. He never gives up on himself. And because of that, he is able to learn how to perform amazing transformations on stage. But it's on a journey from one stage to another with no crowds around to applaud that he discovers that the greatest transformation of all is transforming feelings of caring into action to help another human being. It really is a wonderful story that childrenspublishing.com has called one of the top 7 books that teaches kids kindness. It's also received Story Monster's approval. We hope it will receive your family's approval too. That's the most important thing. There are a number of ways you can experience The Great Maritini. It is available to read for free via Kindle Unlimited. That's right, read it for free via Kindle Unlimited. You can also order the print a copy of the book at Amazon.com, and you can order a giant bilingual autographed copy of The Great Maritini only at GreatMaritini.com. I'm really excited. I'm here at the York Book Fair, and I've just met Chris McLean. He has this line of phenomenal kids' books. It's called the Crime Fighters, Defenders of Justice?
Yes, it's the Crime Fighters, Defenders of Justice. That's the group of the heroes. They are a group of superheroes that are based off first responders. So each character, one is a firefighter, police officer, sheriff, paramedic, state trooper, FBI agent. fire marshals, and a corrections officer.
So we're talking about real superheroes.
Real superheroes that kids can look up to and be one day when they grow up.
That's awesome. Where did you know, we hear superheroes and they're make-believe, but what inspired you to create a series with superheroes that are based on real live superheroes?
Okay, well, actually, just to get a little background, I actually spent 10 years in law enforcement. I'm currently a police officer on the SWAT team. I teach at the police academy in the Philadelphia area. So I always had that connection with kids. I always responded to jobs. I always saw serious incidents in which kids could have been, in my opinion, educated more on incidents. So that's kind of was the motivation for each story. So each story, I have 6 or 7 stories that I lost count. It's a total of 10 in the series. Each story is a different incident a child will face. So we have bullying, stranger danger, theft, playing with fire, and we actually have burglary. And a lot of parents, they look at me and they ask about burglary, and I say, how many kids come home from school by themselves? How many kids get home from school an hour before their parents get home, and when they come home, they don't even know the signs of burglary to look for in terms of broken windows, the door open when it shouldn't be, and even when they're asleep at home with their parents and they hear something downstairs that could be a possible break-in, what do they do? And that's the type of conversations that aren't had by parents with their children, so I put them in the book so those conversations can be sparked up when the children read these stories.
So it sounds like you were very, very intentional in creating stories that parents and kids can talk about.
Yes, and that are still fun and that are still eye-catching in terms of the illustrations.
Yeah, the illustrations are phenomenal. And you were telling me that you had a big hand in the illustrations.
That's correct. One of the things about the superheroes that I enjoyed creating as well was that diversity. So you have a bunch of different races, shades, colors. So each kid growing up and reading these stories can relate to one of the characters, if not all of them. The same thing with female characters. So although we like princesses and those type of characters for young girls, we also need to acknowledge the women in law enforcement and first responders that are motivational, that are inspiring to young girls, that they can be heroes themselves one day. So
absolutely. Yeah,
definitely an inspiration.
Absolutely. So you have the series. Do you intend on creating more and more stories?
I have 2 more series, 2 more stories in the series in terms of vandalism, and then we have a Great Escape where all the bad guys break out of jail and then the heroes have to collect them all again. But then next year, 2019, is going to be a focus on reaching out to animation studios to try to get some type of animation pilot up and running so we can get either as a YouTube series or start pitching to some of the TV networks.
Great. Well, this is a great series, and I really think folks should check out the Crime Fighters, Defenders of Justice series by Chris McLean. Where can folks find out more about it?
Folks can actually just type it on Amazon. You can all the books are available in paperback, hardback, and ebook. The Crime Fighters, Defenders of Justice, or crimefightersbooks.com. We also have a free coloring app for kids. They can check out the coloring app. We have some safety tips on there. That's the Crime Fighters coloring book. So it's Crime Fighters CB, available on Android, and Amazon also has links to the books.
Awesome. Well, thanks very much for spending some time with us.
All right. Thank you very much for inviting me to the podcast.
Hey. Please be sure to join us for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be our friend from Jacksonville, Florida, our dean of all things STEM and STEAM, Jennifer Swanson, celebrating another great STEM Tuesday edition of the show. One of the things I'm really proud of is a fantastic author, a Nat Geo Kids author like Jennifer Swanson, submitted her book, Astronaut, Aquanaut, How Space Science and Sea Science Interact, to our Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read program. She allowed our panel of parents, educators, and kids to evaluate her book. Now, of course, they believed that her book was already a 5 out of 5. So actually, I think they probably would have given it 10 out of 5 stars. But they believe that Jennifer Swanson's book, Astronaut Aquanaut, was absolutely a great read. And we are proud to have it on our Certified Great Read Hall of Fame or Wall of Fame. We would love to add your book to that Wall of Fame. You know, being a certified great read book, it is a fantastic way to help your book stand out amongst a crowd of books that are published every year, published every month. Think about it. Think about how many children's books are published every single month. It's really, really hard for any book to stand out, especially a book by a great indie author. If you would like to have some help helping your book stand out amongst the crowd, if you'd like to have a family walking by and look at your book and know, hey, that's a book that's worthy of my attention, well, you want to check out the Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read program. You can find out more about it on our website, readingwithyourkids.com. Hey, want to thank our guest today, Diana Lundin. Check out her book, Dogs vs. Ice Cream. And, of course, we want to thank Chris McLean. Check out his great graphic novel series celebrating first responders. They really are the superheroes in our lives. And I want to thank another superhero, you. That's right, you are your kid's superhero. Thank you so much for joining us today. And as always, thank you so much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.